we're at gotomath.com, working some calculus, go down to area, and we just finished 2.3, so let's go to 3.1. Let's see what's going on there. Well, this looks a lot like what we did earlier, a little different. Find the area bounded by the curve in the x-axis in the interval between 0 and 6. Now, you notice it doesn't say anything about rounding here, so that means that we'll want to get the exact value, So as you can see here, we don't have any green shaded regions underneath the x-axis, so we don't need to, we don't need to break it up anyway, that's for sure, do anything different, right? So so all we need to do is just integrate this thing from 0 to 6. So let's go ahead and write that down. Write it down. Right, so from 0 to 6, x minus 5 quantity squared dx. Now we don't know any special techniques really to be able to integrate this up to this point right now. Okay. Now there is a technique called u substitution. I did mention it one time, I think, in the indefinite integral section, but we don't know that, so we're going to have to square this thing and work it out that way. Alright, okay, we got all that written down. Let's go over to the whiteboard now and go ahead and write out the problem. So from 0 to 6, and was that 1/2 or 1/3? Whoa, I wrote 1/2 down. That's the reason. I thought that said 1/3. But I wrote a half down for some reason. Okay, this is squared over 3, not 2, dx. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to square this thing. So let's go ahead and just do some side work right up here, right? Let's do that. So we have x times x. We'll write it right here if I can fit it in here. X squared minus 5x minus 5x, and minus 5 is positive 25, so we end up with x squared minus 10x plus 25. Now, we got this 3 here, and you know what? We can just pull this thing out. Yes, we can do that. We can pull that sucker right outside, just get it out of the way. You know what I mean? So we end up with x squared minus 10x plus 25 dx. Now, since we don't have anything special, we don't need to break this up into 2 separate pieces or anything like that. So we can go ahead and just take the integral of this. So I'm just going to go ahead and write the 1/3 and leave it outside. It wasn't invited to the party. How's that? Minus 10x squared. Isn't that terrible? They didn't invite 1/3 to the party. 2 plus 25x. Close parentheses. We're going from 0 to 6. And it's nice to work with 0 because we've got to plug 0 in. Everything's 0, right? Is equal to, now we can go ahead and just plug the 6 in. So we have, you know what? We're not going to invite 1/3 to the party. Still, he's a bad boy. 2 goes into 10 5 times. Let's go ahead and break that down while we're at it. So that becomes 6 squared, 5 times 6 squared plus 25 times 6. Close parentheses. Remember now, it's an exact value. Oh, once again, minus, and of course the lower bound, but when we plug 0 in, you get 0, 0, and 0. Canceled everybody out and got kicked out of the house. Alright, let's go ahead and do this. We got 1/3. We got 6 cubed. Whoa, I wrote 3 cubed down. 6 cubed, right, divided by 3, minus 5 times 6 squared plus 25 times 6. Seems like a big number, but remember we're taking a third of it. Well, that's nice. That's a nice number. I got 14. I hope that's it. That's actually a nice number. So the area is 14 units squared. Of course, we're not writing that in. Ooh, I was holding my breath there. Anyway, 14. And remember, I'm leaving off the units here. Okay? Unit, because it would be something units squared of whatever the units are, but even though it's not being stated in the problem. Alright, so come on over to gotomath.com, practice, 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 and I'll see you there.